door. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Discworld Noir. As well, I thought we're at the beginning of Act 3, where we have found out that Luton is a derivative. Ostin kokeeksi 3 kaverin jäätelöä. Onko mä ikinä kokeillut? Kuulostaa tutulta. Eikö siinä ole niinku jotain 3 eri makua yhdessä? Ainakin näin mä muistelin. Back is just selling that they bought a ice cream that is called the 3 Dudes ice cream. Or 3 Buddies ice cream. I'm just trying to remember if I've ever tasted it myself.
My own grave. How depressing. My tombstone, Luton P.I. Gone and forgotten. Not the epitaph I'd hoped for.
Hello there, mister. Thank you for the follow, by the way. I noticed that you did it 45 minutes ago. So very recently. Hey, mercenary!
A mangy dog going by the name of Gaspode the Wonder Dog. Small, bow-legged, and wiry. Basically grey, but with patches of brown, white, and black in outlying areas. Gaspode appeared to have fleas. Hardpad, scurf, crusted yellow eyes, arthritis, rotting teeth, and horrible bad breath. Between him and Nobby, I was starting to worry about my circle of friends.
Well, I'm live now! 3 koti-isä-tyyppiä, mitkä ihmetteli, miksi Ben & Jerryt maksaa 30 € litra. Tehdään oma. Well, welcome to my Twitch. Hopefully you will have a good time.
There was a water-soaked letter by my graveside. There's a letter at my graveside.
Who's it from?
Ilsa.
Who's Ilsa?
An old flame of mine from the good old days.
How old?
Old enough to be good.
What does it say?
It appears to be a love letter.
Dear Luton, I'm writing this letter even though I know I will never have the courage to give it to you.
Hey,
I
Spaghetti.
have to leave Ankh-Morpork. I can't tell you why. I wish I could. These last few days have meant the world to me. But I haven't the strength to tell you to your face that I can never be yours. I am married to an Agatean man named Two Conkers, and I thought I would never see him again. He was dead to me, and my life was empty. Please believe me, I never meant to hurt you. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. I will always look back on the Hotel Pseudopolis fondly.
You all right?
Sure. This is just one of those big emotional scenes like in the Clickies.
I suppose a bone is out of the question. Maybe a dog biscuit? Wag, wag?
Raspberry and white chocolate ice cream. Lovely. Now let's practice our turning into a wolf skill.
Something had passed through the cemetery and left a very strange trail.
Hey, go for some.
The scent of a woman around my grave. The smell of Gaspode the Wonder Dog, not unlike that of a privy carpet. Ah, the famous stench of the river Ankh, so beloved by the citizens of Ankh-Morpork. Something had passed through the cemetery and left a very strange trail. I followed the magenta scent with a certain sense of grim inevitability. I already knew where it would lead.
To our site of death.
Having a chalk outline outside just didn't put people in the mood to gamble. It was probably the only time in my life I'd had an effect on high society. There was some kind of moss on the ground where I had been killed. It obviously didn't grow here, which means it came from somewhere else. The question was where?
What? Why not
When
go
I
to our-
returned to my office for the first time since my murder, a man
Nobby.
was already there. I knew he was a man because Corporal Nobbs was the only person in Ankh-Morpork who has to carry a letter to confirm his species. He's the kind of man you get itchy from just talking to. There must be something here. Hello, Nobby. Luton, you're alive? I was just cleaning out your desk. Yes, of everything of value. Didn't they bury you? Rumors of my death have been slightly exaggerated. Meaning? Meaning I'm not dead, I just got buried. Yeah, don't tell me the details. Suit yourself. Nice crowbar you're using to jimmy open my drawers. Yeah. I sort of borrowed it from the evidence room. That's okay. I sort of borrowed it from a cart. Oh, I searched Reagan's body. There were 2 tiny bite marks on it. Really? I guess it was more suspicious than you thought. Well, I ought to go. Looks like you don't need your things collecting. How goes the case? The counterweight killings? Oh, still not much progress. They wouldn't let me investigate it if they thought there would be. How many murders do you guys think there are? 3. One of the patricians Clarks, the reader of esoteric occultism up at Unseen University, and one of the city's richest merchants. There'd be 3 more if you counted Mundy, Reagan, and Malachite.
And you, and that
Suppose
will be
so.
4th.
Still not convinced? Well, Vimes isn't convinced. Even though I've been cleared, I have to get back to the yard. Nobby didn't seem very comfortable around me. I didn't know if it was because of my return from the grave or because I'd caught him trying to steal everything of value that wasn't tied down. Although with Nobby, even if you tied it down, he'd steal the string. The only thing I was sure of was that my next step was to look into the counterweight killings. I had a feeling I wasn't going to like what I found.
Well, it depends on what we find.
My old trusty crowbar, stolen by me from the golem, then stolen from me by the watch, stolen by Nobby from the evidence cabinet, and finally back into my hands again. There was a poetic injustice about it all.
Yeah, something poetic, yeah. Even though I somehow had the crowbar already, but no, well, now I have it officially. 3.5, considering he isn't really dead. True. Half being that he was killed, well, in quotation marks. I mean, he was buried, but he ain't dead. Vampire is a vampire versus werewolf match, cage match. Well, it could be going that way. You never know. But then again, I mean, 2 bite marks in the ankle. Well, there might be a vampire going about. Yes, because we have opened at least 1 crate with the crowbar. Too bad we don't carry any guns.
Someone was definitely following me. There was a faint haze of purple in the room. I didn't know who it belonged to, but there was something about it. The dark red scent of the iron crowbar was quite distinct, and not the same as that scent. The maroon scent wasn't recent. It suggested the tangy red of iron. Around the door was a strong, dark cyan odor with an earthy overtone. The dark red scent of the iron. The coin didn't seem... I doubted the moss had anything... The aroma of a very old and eau de gaspode. A strange scent I first found in the cemetery. The scent of a woman. There was something about the purple scent that reminded me of werewolves. The maroon scent reminded me of iron somehow. The dark cyan scent was strong and earthy, with a hint of something potent about it.
Gotta remember, wherever I go, I need to change back into a werewolf. Just to get some sense going on. Anything here?
There was a blue mist around the statue Rodin had been working on.
There. Now we know Now we know Rodan's smell.
They were keeping their distance, but I managed to briefly catch sight of the dwarf who was following me.
Ah, so Al-Khali might be following us.
I went over to Horst's quarters, but he wasn't there.
Apparently we cannot go to the archaeologists anymore. Although I do think they might not be a good idea to change into a werewolf here. Let's see if we can.
I didn't want to transform in such an exposed area.
Yep.
The cyan stench was coming from a bottle of perfume.
Let's keep that in our sense.
There was a hint of an apple-colored scent in the air.
Huh. I do like this. Finding
Dark
these...
cyan was the most prevalent smell in the dressing room. There was a booming bass quality to the scent.
Apparently I cannot grab that scent. Because I'm sure that's just sapphire. But it's cool to actually collect these scents.
There was definitely the remains of a magenta scent in Mundy's room. The scent was too dispersed for me to remember it well. A strange scent. My killer had been here, but were they responsible for Mundy's murder?
Well, if they had been here, I would say so.
There was a bold scent of navy blue in the air. There was a superficial similarity between the two scents, but I don't think they were connected. They were very different in tone and pitch.
Okay. Might be vibes.
The teal scent strongly resembled tobacco and guilt.
No bad. Strong hint with a nudge in the side of teal.
There was a hint of an apple-colored scent in the air.
So that must be Mundy then.
The apple scent here was the same as in Sapphire's dressing room. I guess it belonged to Mankin, the half-elf barman.
Oh yeah, because he took the corpse down.
Around where Mundy's body had lain was a dark blue scent.
It's an intriguing way of finding out where people have been.
There was definitely a magenta hint amongst the scents on the roof.
Yeah, that's the killer. Again.
I could tell that my killer had been here. Around the chalk outline was a brown scent, presumably malachites. There were signs of a teal scent on the roof. The scent had a distinct hint of tobacco.
That's Nobby.
Some parts of the roof had a navy blue scent to them.
And that's Vimes. Maybe.
I guess the navy blue scent had to belong to Commander Vimes. Nobby just couldn't conceal his odor.
I mean, it only makes sense because they're the ones who found us here on the rooftop. Why Monopoly of all things?
Turning into a wolf wasn't something I was trying to restrict myself to just...
I wonder what Samael would think if he found out that Luton is a werewolf.
I was pretty sure Samael wouldn't mind me slipping into wolf form, but it still didn't feel right. I just couldn't do it while somebody watched. Samael, Miss...
I highly doubt there's anything that we can talk about with Samael.
I doubled back on myself, trying to get a good look at the dwarf who was following me. It was Al-Khali. I slipped away into the streets before he realized I'd spotted him. There was a lingering smell of purple in the corner. Definitely the same scent. There were some faint traces of a light blue scent in the corner of the cellar. The scent was very weak, and I didn't think I would be able to remember it very well.
Well, that would be 2 conkers anyway.
The predominant smell in the cellar was of red wine, considerably more pleasant than the smell of the river, at least.
Never know when we might have to trace some...
Although superficially similar, there was no mistake. Although superficially similar, there was no mistaking the metallic maroon scent for the sharp smell of Ephebian red wine.
If somebody has ever drank this wine, we'll find out. You never know. Might be useful information.
The green scent smelled like vegetation. The scent was too... Down by the river, the smell of the Ankh was... Oh, I don't know. It was pretty bad anyway.
Down by the corner. Going down the drain.
The magenta trail led to the site of my murder. I guess it must be the murderer's trail.
Huh.
I followed my murderer's trail back to the Temple of Small Gods.
Fascinating.
I was on the other side of a stained glass window with some kind of angel on it.
Not a sewer sent mercenary, River Ankh. And that's Mooncalf.
I could see that someone was on the other side of the window.
Yeah, I wonder who is always in front of that.
The trail led to the temple. Then I lost it. I'd found a matching scent. I could see that I was confident the silhouette belonged to Mooncalf.
Mm-hmm. I don't see anything else here. Hey guys, Pod. It's good to know that the cemetery is right next to the Temple of Small Gods.
The cemetery was at the back of the Temple of Small Gods.
Yep, there's the cemetery. It's interesting that we followed the scent from here all the way here. That's a strong trail of scent to follow all the way here. Well, let's go talk to Mooncalf. I mean, why would the smell be towards him?
I have some more questions.
Ask them, if you must.
I must.
What can you tell me about a golden sword?
Ha 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 ha! You should talk to Malaclips, the mad priest over on the other side of the temple. I'm sure he'd be delighted to talk to you about golden swords.
Already done it.
The jewel wasn't the kind of... I asked Mooncalf where he was when the murder took place, and he told me he was holding a sermon. I asked Mooncalf...
Always keeping a sermon, huh?
I've heard that a bestial creature stalks the streets of Ankh-Morpork.
Indeed. Oh, perhaps the apocalypse is already upon us.
The apocalypse?
The end of the world. The triumph of the ice giants.
Oh.
The tea time of the gods.
Blech.
The time when the creatures from the dungeon dimensions will break into the world again.
Dungeon dimensions?
Allegedly. The legends are as unreliable on this as they are on most things, hence the name. It's not too late to repent and join the ranks of the faithful.
I'll pass if it's all the same with you.
Besides, what help would it be if it's the end of the world already? Will we survive it? And also, what's the benefits? Do I get a sticker or a robe or anything?
Well, I'll be on my way.
I'll be here should you choose to repent.
I need your help again, Malaclips.
They'll...
I've heard that something...
You'll have to be more specific than that. Why, in the sewers alone there's the albino alligators, the ratkin, and the abominable night soil. And then there's some of the citizens.
Forget I asked. What do you know about the murder of the patrician's clerk?
He wasn't killed. He's been smuggled out of Ankh-Morpork by a team of crack Ephebian ontological guerrillas.
You said this before.
Ontological guerrillas?
A vicious band of terrorist philosophers trying to spread their doctrine that our existence is purely an abstract experience mediated by a limited sensory experience, which cannot be relied upon to provide accurate perspectives or any true reality should one exist.
Sounds plausible.
So, they got to you too, did they?
What about the reader of esoteric occultism? Do you know about his murder?
Ha! Internal politics. It is of no
Hey there, Lista
consequence to
Marifé.
the world what happens inside Unseen University.
Even if they accidentally summon hideous demons from beyond space and time?
Or a dragon.
As long as they stay inside Unseen University, no problem.
Participation reward for the end of time. Sounds fun. Yeah, there should be some kind of a reward. I mean, our lives are about to end. Give me something fun.
I heard a prominent merchant was killed.
That's right. A gangland killing by the Shin Kicker Triad. They told Bjorn Iron Trader to stop trading with their rivals, but he didn't listen to them.
I don't think that's the murder I'm interested in.
Maybe it should be.
I'll have to go. The truth is out there.
Trust no one.
Boop, boop, ba-da-da.
Turning into a wolf wasn't something I was trying to
I guess there's nothing important here for sense. Alright.
Here on the Maudlin Bridge, the reek of the Ankh was at its most sickening. The smell of the Ankh almost drowned out the remains of the magenta scent.
So our serial killer did get Regan.
There was no mistaking it. Even against the reek of the Ankh, it was the scent of my killer.
This killer really went to places. Like all over Ankh-Morpork.
One of the empty barrels had a faint magenta trace to it. Definitely the same scent as my killer, which meant whoever it was made it into the palace concealed in a wine barrel. Why did
Fascinating.
that bring to mind the phrase, you wait, time passes, and Thorin sits down and starts singing about gold? The garbage was giving off a distinctive green cloud, not dissimilar to the smell of the river Ankh. The empty barrels were surrounded by a cloying red mist, and it had the shrill pitch of red wine, if I wasn't mistaken.
Red, red wine. It's fascinating that the killer has been here.
The palace walls were useful for keeping in. Looking closely, I could see the other side of the hole in. Two Conkers was Ilsa's companion, an Agatean with a sharp mind but a slender grasp on the local tongue. He was also Ilsa's husband. I still didn't know how I felt about that. Can I ask you a few questions?
Well, we are a little busy at the moment. Can it wait?
How long?
Just a day or so.
No, then it can't wait.
Very well. What did you want to know?
Hey, I can actually talk to these.
What is that thing you're working on?
It's my flapping wing flying device. I had put it to one side, but I had an inspiration and decided to go back to developing it.
What was the inspiration?
It occurred to me that if I modified my turning the wheels with pedals and another wheel machine to turn the spinning blades radiating from central hub, I might be able to produce a flapping wing flying device that could be driven forward by a human operating the pedals with his feet.
Will it work?
If we can to be solving the minor problems, it might just maybe will be yes.
He's really good at naming his inventions, isn't he? Not just naming the stuff that are in the invention. At least he's not calling them like the flippity floppity and the whirly girly.
What are the problems you're experiencing?
Mainly weight. If it is going to fly, it has to be light. But Two Conkers has suggested using bombastic wood for the frame, which is extremely light for its strength. I have to raid one of my floating designs to get enough of the stuff, but it should work.
If weight is a problem, why does it seat 2 people?
The patrician said he would be most interested in the device if it could be used to fly 2 people.
You don't know why?
Well, he said he was interested in how far you could travel in it.
Come to think of it, I suppose Veterinary might be interested in getting a long way from the city in a hurry one day. Could you fly a long distance in it?
I imagine you'd get very tired. Still, if it were moving over a flat surface, you might get some additional lifting things up force reflected off the ground, which would mean it would be easier. I call this the reflecting some of your lifting things up force off the ground effect.
Good name.
Well, this is all very interesting, but it isn't helping my case much.
Or at all, when you think about it.
I knew full well that asking either Leonard or Two Conkers. I found the golden sword I was looking for. It had a slightly curved blade and seemed to have quite a heavy end.
Sounding like a falcon.
A falcon?
I believe he means a falchion.
Yes, to be a typing of blade for slashing. Like a scimitar, but with weight at end.
With a weighted end.
Thanking you.
I mean, that is a falchion. It's a heavier sword.
This jewel that you're looking for, Two Conkers, are you sure it's here in Ankh-Morpork?
As shoring as I can to being. Found inscription in hole, in dig, in sorta, leading to city here.
And what language was the inscription in?
Inscription in Sortian is being.
And how well do you speak Sortian?
Oh, at leasting as well to be speaking your language.
That's what I thought.
So I'm sure that there is something lost in translation then.
Do you know anything about some kind of beast stalking the streets?
Yes, you can use it if you like.
You didn't listen to a word I just said, did you?
Be my guest.
I decided to leave them to their work. I doubted they even noticed I was gone.
I wonder where Ilse is. Since there is no Ilse, I really wonder where she is.
The gaping hole had been created by Malachite to escape from the palace. Leonard liked to think of it as a window.
I wonder if I can turn into a werewolf here.
Leonard would probably be fairly nonplussed if I changed into a wolf, but I didn't want to chance it.
Can I still return to my cell? Apparently not.
There was nothing useful to me on the table. Well, nothing useful that wasn't glued down, or that I thought Leonard wouldn't notice missing.
Oh, it is you, sir.
I'm just as thrilled.
Who would Sir like to see this time?
Oh. Carlotta?
I'd like to see Carlotta. Is she home?
I will go and check.
Thank you. Oh. He's a fast walker.
While the butler was gone, I slipped into my wolf form.
Hey,
A
Mark.
purple scent stretched across the hallway, and I instantly knew it was Carlotta. But that wasn't all. The richness of her odor told me something else. Carlotta was a werewolf. Just like me.
That's how we turned into a werewolf. When we kissed.
It seems that Carlotta is not in her room.
Take a message. Tell her to meet me at the Café Ankh later tonight.
As Sir wishes.
If Carlotta was the werewolf who infected me, I wanted to speak to her as soon as possible. Sheesh! You'd think a guy could take one kiss and wake up the same shape next day, wouldn't you?
Well, apparently, that's not the case.
Al-Khali was still following me.
Who would Sir like to see this time?
Now, who do you think if Carlotta's not here?
Can I see the Count?
I am not in a position to know how good your vision is, but you may see the Count, which I believe is what Sir actually meant in Sir's untutored way.
Well, I'm sorry that my grammar
was
sucks.
getting worse. He wasn't making much sense.
Is that you? I knew you'd come for me sooner or later.
No, we are not death.
Is it time?
No.
Is it time already?
We're not death.
It's been such a long time.
Yes, we're death. We're here
hasn't
to
it?
take you.
We've had fun together, haven't we? Soon enough.
Count?
Soon enough, my dear. Soon enough.
Count? It's Luton.
He cannot hear you.
Hey, death!
Why not?
It's almost his time.
I've seen some scary
Speak
things
of the
in
devil.
my time. I've seen men driven mad by money or women. I've seen wars where neither side has known what they were fighting over. I've seen Nobby getting out of the shower, and believe me, that was no picnic. I didn't really discover what terror was until I found myself talking to a 7-foot-high skeleton with a scythe.
Hey, Lisa.
Your death!
Am I?
Yes.
You know, I wondered why I was carrying the scythe around.
And the hourglass.
Am I?
Are you what? A selfish, bitter man who has yet to squander his one last chance at redemption?
Am I dead?
No. It's not your time.
I thought you might have missed me the other day when I was stabbed and you've only just got around to me.
I'm famously punctual.
So why are you here?
I've come out for the count, so to speak.
Oh, well, that's a shame. I was hoping to ask him a few questions.
You seem remarkably calm for one who's just seen the defeater of empires, the swallower of oceans, the thief of years, the ultimate reality, the harvester of mankind, and the assassin against whom no lock will hold. That's me, in case you have trouble with long sentences.
Yeah, I kind of got it. Just many
It's
titles.
been that kind of week. How long has he got?
That depends on you.
On me? I thought our time was allocated by the fates.
It is true that fate is the ultimate master of life and death. But even fate takes a back seat to the laws of narrative causality.
Ah.
I don't understand.
Really? Who said you were supposed to?
You might give me a clue.
Let's just say that the actions of one person may change the way the whole story is told.
I don't understand.
He's saying that we have one
Don't
chance to
worry, it'll
ask all the
become
questions we need.
clear to you at the end.
He's trying to tell you that this is nothing but a video game and a story that you're playing through. And if we want to ask questions, better ask them now before death takes them.
How come you're here?
I came on my horse.
Pinky!
What is it? A skeletal horse whose hooves spark with flames with each step?
No, it's a
No.
white horse.
Just my horse.
Uh-huh.
I call him Binky.
And he's not a skeleton?
No.
He happens to be very well fed and looked after, thank you very much.
I still don't understand why you're here. I mean, you're Death. Shouldn't you be everywhere?
I am everywhere.
But you're here.
Yes. As well. Don't try to work it out. Even I don't fully understand it. It involves really complicated numbers.
You turn up like this for everyone.
Generally, I'm only expected to make an actual appearance on special occasions.
And also only wizards are
And
supposed to
this
see
is
him.
a special occasion?
Not yet. I've arrived ahead of time. But there's going to be a lot of business in Ankh-Morpork soon. So it doesn't hurt for me to get here a little early.
You wouldn't care to tell me more about this, I suppose.
The immediate future is not a matter on which I propose to enlighten you. No.
It seems a woman that I've been involved with is a werewolf.
Indeed.
Her name's Carlotta. She's the mistress of the house, I guess.
Carlotta, Yes, of course she is. Couldn't be part of the Von Uberwalds if she wasn't.
Ah.
You'd be a werewolf too if you married her.
The von Uberwalds are all werewolves.
No wonder he's like 500
Really?
years
How
old.
do you know that?
How do I know that, eh? How could I not know that? I was married myself, you know. Do you remember my wife?
Yes.
No.
Before your time,
Hey, Zelda.
No one was before my time.
Everybody following the conversation? Like, there's no mistake that it's 3 conversations happening at the same time. Or 2 conversation. Or maybe 3. It's like, Luton talking to Death, and then Count talking to Luton, but also Count talking to Death, or at least Death answering the Count's questions, but also answering... It's complicated. Very complicated and confusing.
Do you know anything about the counterweight killings?
Of course.
You were there?
Well, yes.
At least when to take the
I
corpses.
have to be.
Huh.
But this is very irregular.
Of course. You know about all these murders, don't you? I mean, you're basically an accessory after the fact. Or possibly before the fact.
Young man, I am the fact.
Well, tell me everything you know.
Are you sure? It would take millions of years.
I meant about this case. We could stop anyone else from being killed.
No. Absolutely not. You can't expect me to be a witness in a murder inquiry.
It will be
I'm
spoilers.
going to take the 5th.
Good.
The 5th what?
No one ever says what 5th.
The amendment.
They just take it.
Yeah.
And I'll have the 6th, 7th, and 15th through 23rd, just to be on the safe side.
And I'll have a number 9.
So you won't tell
Number
me
9
anything.
large.
Oh, lots of things.
The 45.
I like to talk to a man who likes to talk.
But you won't tell me anything about the murders.
I
Nope.
will not. Supposing that caught on. You think I want to spend every day in a witness box?
Even though Death said he wouldn't tell me anything, I had a suspicion that I might be able to learn something if I could just trip him up. I'd have to be careful, though. The last thing I wanted was to get Death upset with me. He's not a guy you want as your enemy.
I wonder how Death's career in the Clickies is going.
What do you know about a dwarf named Al-Khali?
I haven't met them. Yet.
Do you know a woman named Ilsa or a man named Two Conkers?
I haven't met them yet.
Can't you just tell me who killed Mundy?
I won't squeal, Copper. No one will ever say that death is a pigeon on a stool, you doity.
Rat. Rat.
You doity rodent of some sort.
Rat.
I say, this is fun, isn't it?
I'm so glad that we can amuse death.
Do you know anything about golden swords?
I've seen a couple in my time.
Such as?
Oh, I don't know. If you've seen one golden sword, you've seen them all.
Ah, but there's different types of swords. We're looking for a falchion ourselves. I mean, you must have seen a scimitar and a long sword, bastard sword, knife, dagger.
Do you know anything about jewels?
Jewels? Shiny. Not much use for anything except looking pretty.
Count von Uberwald?
Has it turned cold again? I can't tell.
There's life in the old Count yet.
There will be. Right up until the end.
What about you?
I'll be there.
No, I mean, do you know anything about jewels?
I once had to acquire a diamond for a friend.
Where did you find it?
In a temple. They thought it was the tear of a god.
Was it?
No. Gods never weep. Sometimes the imagination of mankind astonishes me.
Is that happened in the book?
Anything about gold-plated jewels?
Sorry, no.
Did that happen in the book anywhere? That Death had to get a diamond for somebody?
Is there anything you'd like to tell me about the murder of the patrician's clerk?
Only that he was a lot less tiresome than you and didn't have such a colorful vocabulary.
Wizards can see you, right?
Indeed.
So they know when they're going to die.
That is also true.
So the reader of esoteric occultism must have known he was about to be murdered.
Knowing when you are going to die and knowing how are two different things.
But also, Rincewind saw you many times, but you never actually came to harvest him at any point.
I was just thinking that I could really use some information on the merchant's murder.
That's funny. I was just thinking about wallpaper. Was there a point you wanted to make?
Perhaps I could trap him into saying something when I knew a little more about how and where the merchant had been killed.
You know, that's very good, the way you make your voice go all tough and gritty like that. Do you have to go to elocution classes?
No.
Do you have a secret code ring or anything?
No.
Oh.
Hey, Gabriel.
Neither the Count nor Death seemed likely. Neither the Count. How come I can see you? Is it something to do with me being a werewolf?
In a sense. It has much more to do with certain other matters.
Such as?
Ordinarily, I am only perceived by those who are about to die.
So you are invisible. That must be useful.
I'm not invisible, as such. People just can't see me. They won't allow themselves to do it. Until it's time, of course. Wizards can see me, and cats. Odd, really, but there you go.
But I can see you.
Indeed. People in a state of heightened awareness sometimes stop seeing what they expect to see and start seeing what is really there.
Like with Gaspode.
Frankly, I think your seeing me has more to do with your quest for the golden sword.
You know about that?
I've been around. I hear things.
Why should the sword be a factor?
Well, it's more to do with narrative causality, as I said.
It's not really a quest. I mean, I'm just investigating a few murders.
Believe me, I know. I was there.
So nice to be chatting with Death again.
You mentioned narrative causality before.
Did I?
Yeah, twice.
Must be becoming careless.
Why? Aren't you allowed to discuss it?
It's not exactly against the rules. But it might ruin it if I told you.
Ruin what?
The story.
Spoilers.
Well, goodbye. I'm sure we'll meet again.
Oh, you can be certain of it. Incidentally, I rather like your hard-boiled monologues.
You do?
Oh, yes. And of course, the way you can actually think out of the corner of your mouth. Very impressive.
I didn't know I was doing it.
Oh, yes. Take that, you doity rat. Wonderful stuff. Very entertaining. You know, sometimes I've wondered if I should take the scythe around in a violin case.
You think it fit?
It would certainly add to the atmosphere of menace and uncertainty.
Really?
Of course, I don't play the violin. And I can't talk out of the corners of my mouth.
Well, you have a skull, so
It's a
no
great
lips.
shame.
Nice reference. Well, let's go to Cafe Ankh now, that I'm sure Carlotta's gonna be there. Yep, there
You
she
wanted
is.
to see me.
I tried to reach you at the mansion, but you're never around when I need you.
You never need me when I'm around.
A funny thing happened to me the other day.
You arranged all this just to tell me an anecdote?
It's a funny little story. I think you'll like it.
I'm listening.
The other night, someone stuck a sword through my ribs.
Ah, it must have been someone who knew you well.
The thing is, not long afterwards, I was in my coffin thinking about it when I realized I wasn't dead.
That was lucky.
Luck was not a factor. Why did you do it, Carlotta?
Do what?
Make me a werewolf.
If I hadn't, you'd be dead. Would you prefer that?
That's not the point, and you know it. You did something to me that was going to change who I was for the rest of my life. And you didn't even tell me.
I didn't think you'd understand. Besides, it wasn't as if I planned it.
Are you telling me you turned me into a werewolf by accident?
How long have you been a werewolf now?
Not long.
Have you felt what it's like? That force that pulls on you, that draws your attention to every jugular, pulsing with life? The irrepressible call of fresh blood? A sudden attention to the phases of the moon?
I have to fight to keep control.
We all do. Coming to a city of 1 million people, it's like a starving monkey wandering into a banana plantation. You learn to live with it.
And you decided to infect me with lycanthropy?
Infect is such a negative word. I prefer blessed.
You think this is a gift?
Of course it's a gift. It's the greatest gift I could give to someone. And I chose you.
Why?
You're a smart man, Luton. Figure it out.
She has fallen in love with us. That's the only explanation I can think of.
Do you know anything about the murder of one of the patrician's clerks?
No, I don't.
Do you know anything?
No. No.
Have you heard about...
Sorry, Luton. I'm not an expert on murders, despite what you may think.
Tell me about Horst.
What's to tell? He's a treasure hunter, as ruthless as they come. He'd sell his own mother to get what he wanted. Rumor has it that he pushed his father off the mountain when he was just a pebble.
Have you had any dealings with him in the past?
Occasion. Horst is the kind of troll you try not to work with unless you really have to.
Have you seen anything strange around town recently?
What kind of strange?
A little birdie eater told me that Malachite was killed by something bestial.
A werewolf?
I don't think so. Whatever, it was vicious.
You don't think werewolves are vicious? You should hear my aunts talk about me behind my back.
I think whatever this thing is, it's more powerful than just a werewolf.
Could be a vampire. As we thought that it could be.
So, how many people have you killed?
I'm not that kind of a werewolf.
I suspected you were a killer even when you were just a woman. Now, I'm certain of it.
I was never just a woman.
You expect me to believe you've never killed anyone?
I have a lot of self-control.
It didn't seem that way when we kissed.
Don't mistake passion for a lack of self-control.
Do all werewolves see the world the same?
Everyone sees the world differently, Luton. That's what life is all about.
I meant the colors. Do you see the same colors I do?
What color is the smell of the river Ankh to you?
A kind of cacophonous bright green.
I guess we do then.
Whoever killed me had a distinctive magenta scent. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
Doesn't ring any bells.
There was something else about it, like a kind of fluorescent sparkle.
Like a greenish yellow purple?
That's the one.
That's octarine.
Octarine? Sounds like a type of fruit.
Magic.
It's the eighth color of the spectrum.
Eighth?
The basic color of which other colors are merely pale shadows impinging on conventional reality. The color of magic.
Conventional reality?
Or what passes for conventional on the Discworld.
What's that supposed to mean?
If I always knew what I meant, I'd be a genius.
So what smells of octarine?
Anything magical.
Then how come I've never seen it before? There must be 100 magical things in the city. Unseen University should glow like a sparkler.
Mortals can't see it, only wizards. Although we can smell it, of course.
That doesn't explain why Unseen University doesn't reek of it.
Well, it fades quickly in sunlight, and in extreme cases, walks away.
Walks away? Octarine has its own mind? Well, it's magical, so that makes sense.
The person who killed Mundy hung him upside down and poked his eyes out. Can you think of any reason they might have done that?
What? No. Why should I?
Well, you knew Mundy. I didn't. I thought you might have an insight on it that I didn't. Did you kill Mundy?
What? What do you think I am, Luton?
It's got nothing to do with what I think of you, Carlotta. But the Watch are investigating, and if they find out about your connection with Mundy, you're bound to be a suspect.
So why are you asking me if I did it?
Let's just call it professional curiosity.
If I had done it, would you turn me in?
That depends.
On what?
On why you did it.
You don't strike me as a moralist, Luton.
I'm a simple man, Carlotta. I have simple ideas of what's right and what's wrong. The trouble is, things are seldom that simple. It's always somewhere in the middle ground. I try not to jump to conclusions. In my line of work, that can get you killed.
That must be a tremendous incentive to think everything through.
I do my best. You still haven't answered my question.
I didn't kill him, Luton, if that's what you really want to know.
Do you have an alibi? I told her when the murder took place and asked her if she had an alibi. I wasn't surprised when she did. Frankly, I reckon I could have said any day and any time, and she'd have had an alibi. She was that kind of woman.
There are witnesses who can corroborate where I was.
And where were you?
I was in the Temple of Small Gods.
Spend a lot of time on your knees, do you, sister?
We all need a little absolution.
For your sins?
Everything I do is a sin in someone's eyes.
And also funny for him to mention that this kind of line of work could get him killed, and he did get killed.
Where can I find you?
I'll be around.
That's not very helpful.
What can I say? I go where I want to, with anybody I want. I just happen to be that kind of girl.
This isn't over, Carlotta.
I hope not. We don't have to be enemies, Luton.
We'll never be friends.
Let's not fight, Luton. We can work together, recover the sword together.
I don't know who you are anymore.
I'm the same girl I ever was, Luton. It's you that's changed.
You're telling me.
You know, Luton, you don't have to work with me. You don't have to say anything, and you don't have to do anything. Not a thing. Oh,
Not a thing.
Maybe just howl. You know how to howl, don't you, Luton? You just pull your jaws apart and blow.
After Carlotta had left, I sat alone in the cafe, thinking about my problems. As bad as it seemed, my life was still better than it was a few years ago.
Really?
Back then, I would have sat alone in the cafe, drinking through my problems.
Oh, yeah. He did say that in the past he did drink a lot. Especially right after Ilsa left him. He had a drinking problem for a long while. Welcome back, Lisa. Now, let's see.
Some moss, found where I was murdered.
Wonder who I can ask about the moss. Like, who would be an expert? What was empty, mercenary?
I need
There.
No, it's not empty. Samael is in the side room.
Do you recognize this moss?
Is it Gerald?
Gerald?
My pet lichen?
No, I don't think so.
It could be. Servants from foul old Ron's conspiracy kidnapped him many years ago for a purpose unknown.
Are you sure they didn't steal it to add flavor to their boot soup? It sounds more likely.
Possibly. It's always so hard to be sure.
Nice that he mentions follow run.
I'll have to go. The truth. I have some more questions. Do you recognize I prefer to involve... Did your church...
No bien.
Back behind the desk, I see. Hello, Luton. Do you recognize this moss? No.
That's a Vaporeon, right?
You mentioned the murder of one of the patrician's clerks before. Yeah. What can you tell me about that? That he's dead. That's all your in-depth inquiries turned up? Not as easy as that, you know, making sure someone's really dead. He might have just been playing dead. Anyway,
He was killed in the palace.
You must know more than that. Or is it that you can't tell me about it?
If you want to know more, you'll have to find out yourself. Sorry.
Never would have guessed it, Nobby.
I guess I could go talk to the guards about it.
What can you tell me about the murder at Unseen University?
Nothing.
Nothing?
The university isn't being cooperative. Old Vimes is saying that because it's murder, it's our jurisdiction. But they're arguing that they can handle their own affairs. It's all got political.
That doesn't help the inquiry much, does it? What about this merchant that you said was murdered?
I can't discuss that with you.
Well, you must be able to tell me something.
The guilds like to keep these disputes to themselves. You know what I mean? You'll have to talk to the Merchants Guild.
Alright, we got a new location. Cool.
I guess I'll see you around, Nobby. I'll try to avoid it, though. Let's face it, Nobby was no oil painting. Unless someone did it with their foot.
I would think that somebody would have made it with their ass when it's Nobby. Because at least you guys have told me that Nobby's the description of Nobby in the books is that he's one of the ugliest beings in the world. That's why he has to have the not a license, but certification to show that he's a human being, not something else.
I'm back. I've got a few more questions.
Make it fast.
I hear one of the clerks got murdered.
Ask questions like that, and we might have to arrest you.
On what grounds?
Well, on the palace grounds, obviously.
No, on the grounds. Never mind.
Do you know anything about the murder of the reader of esoteric occultism?
We don't know nothing about any murders, all right?
Thanks for the chat.
Our pleasure.
Well, let's go to the Merchants Guild then. The Extreme
Merchants
Zoom Up!
Guild was the youngest of the Ankh-Morpork guilds, founded in self-defense by the city's traders and shopkeepers, when they realized their role in the grand scheme of things was to be robbed.
Are we gonna find
Robbing fat merchants, it seemed, was a perfectly socially acceptable, even heroic
cut
thing
me own
to
throat
do.
dibbler here?
Consequently, they weren't the friendliest of guilds either. I wasn't holding out much hope that they'd help me. Evening.
Usually is when the sun sets.
Is everyone in this city a smart aleck?
Who's he?
He used to be a regular at the Mended Drum. He made a reputation as a know-it-all.
Used to be?
The Mended Drum is a bad place to use the phrase no.
Where did they find his body?
The Shades. And the Diesel Gate. His kidney down a well in Dolly's sister's, I think. Bits of his innards all over the place. Sounds like he had a lot of guts. So how did you end up working on the door?
Oh, there's only so many good positions to go around.
I take it this isn't one of them.
Oh, it's not that bad. I get to hear all the interesting news with this job.
And has anything interesting happened recently?
Oh, yes.
Such as?
We got a new kettle. Much nicer than the one with the leak that we used to use.
You boiled water in a kettle with a hole?
Well, we made a lot of steam anyway. It wouldn't stay in the cups, though.
And that's the most exciting thing that's happened here.
Oh, exciting. If you want exciting, you should see the new colour scheme in the coin shaving room.
Come on. Someone was murdered. Wasn't that exciting?
Oh, sure.
Why didn't you mention that?
A guild policy. We're not to discuss the incident with outsiders.
About this merchant that was killed.
Sorry, I'm not allowed to discuss the incident with outsiders. A guild policy.
It wouldn't hurt to tell me the broad details, would it?
It would hurt a lot. They'd throw me off the roof.
No one's going to know.
I'd know about hitting the ground.
Is it really that important to you?
The Merchants Guild takes its policies very seriously.
So it seemed. I had to find a way to exploit that. What's all this about coin shaving?
You haven't heard of coin shaving?
No, I didn't even know they grew hair.
Well, you take a coin and you carefully shave off some of the gold, which you can then melt down and sell. Easy money.
I think I see a problem with that.
Yeah?
Well, I didn't think there was any gold in Ankh-Morpork dollars.
Well, there isn't. Not anymore. We kind of shaved them too much.
So what do you use the coin shaving room for?
We keep the kettle there. It sets off the new decor superbly.
That's why you redecorated it?
No, we used to keep the old kettle there, only all the wallpaper fell down.
Let me guess, it was because of the kettle that the wallpaper came down.
I don't understand. Why is it guild policy not to discuss the murder?
Well, as you probably know, we formed the guild to stop the dreadful habit of visiting heroes robbing all the fat merchants.
Yeah, I heard that.
Ah, yonder lies a fat merchant, they'd cry, using that special landlord a flagon of your finest ale hero talk. Let us relieve him of some of his ill-gotten gains. Pon my scalliard. Next thing you know, they've robbed you blind. That's the thanks you get for years of service.
Years of service, carefully mixing sand in the sugar and switching the number plates of the donkey carts.
Hey, that's a very stilted view. What about all the other top-quality bargains we offer?
Ah, yes. All those once-in-a-lifetime, never-to-be-repeated, absolutely didn't fall off the back of a cart offers.
Cut me on throat.
Exactly. Plus, we keep the economy of the city running.
By giving small sums to the less smelly beggars?
Annually, yes.
You were telling me about guild policy.
Ah, yes. Anyway, it was decided that it would be the Merchants Guild's policy to fully further the aims of its members, advertise the civic charms of Ankh-Morpork, and beat 7 kinds of hell out of anyone with a leather loincloth.
Advertise
Loincloth?
the civic charms of Ankh-Morpork?
Are you saying you don't like Ankh-Morpork?
Oh, no. Absolutely not. I heard what you guys did to Castroaster.
Damn straight. He got tired real quick.
This doesn't explain why you can't discuss the murder with me.
Well, the Merchants Guild is supposed to be the shining beacon that shows the rest of the world how unsurpassably wonderful Ankh-Morpork is.
I want to
By
know what they
robbing
did to
them
Castroaster.
Oi, watch it.
Sorry. Continue.
Anyway, the point is, it's bad publicity if we're seen to have a murder in our ranks.
Couldn't you sell it as a tourist attraction?
What?
You know, come to Ankh-Morpork, site of the infamous counterweight killings.
Show some respect. A merchant lies dead, struck down in his prime.
So do half a dozen other people.
True, but they weren't merchants.
Because this is the Merchants Guild, this is where they care about nobody else but merchants.
So how exactly do you go about advertising the civic charms of Ankh-Morpork?
Volume.
We pursue those misguided people who publicly fail to recognize the many attractive points of this fine city.
Pursue?
Yes, we hire large gangs of men with ears like fists and fists like walnuts to point out that Ankh-Morpork is in fact a marvellously clean and decent city in which to live.
Fists like
A process
walnuts.
whose ongoing nature might be
Tasty.
swiftly curtailed if they don't shut up right now.
I suspect they see sense.
Oh yes, even if their eyes are a bit swollen.
Do you know anything about the murder of the reader of esoteric occultism?
I can't help you there.
Have you heard about the counterweight killings?
Who hasn't? It's the talk of the town. A gruesome serial killer in our own backyard.
Ankh-Morpork, where major political events are never talked about, but grisly murders are discussed over the dinner table.
Hey, if it isn't local news, I'm not interested.
Oh, of course. 10,000 killed in a pogrom in Omnia is irrelevant. But Ankh-Morpork man stubs toe on the Magdalen Bridge. Oh, that's news.
Someone stubbed their toe on the Magdalen Bridge?
Never mind.
I mean, yeah, it's news.
I didn't want to discuss. This was clear.
Yeah, don't talk to them about gold. I'm sure we will see dollar signs in his eyes.
There's talk of a bestial attacker loose in Ankh-Morpork. I was wondering if it might have killed that merchant.
Wonder away. But I'm not discussing the incident with you.
Damn. Do you know a troll by the name of Jasper Horst?
Well, no one I know.
Do you know anything about Reagan's murder?
I can't help you there.
Can you think of any reason that Mundy might have been hung upside down before he was killed?
I can't help you there.
What do you know about a dwarf named Al Kali?
Well, no one I know.
What do you know about a woman named Carlotta?
Well, no one I know.
He knows a lot of people.
I had a feeling that Mundy's... Do you recognize this moss?
I don't know anything about that.
Well, goodbye for now.
I wonder where I could go talk to somebody about the moss. Like an expert on moss. It's a long shot.
Some ale.
Can you actually help me?
Do you recognize this moss?
I wouldn't know anything about that, Mr. Luton.
Well, you don't really know about anything in general. I highly doubt the guards know anything about the moss. But I do know some people who might be smart enough to know about the moss.
Just a few... Do you recognize this moss?
What? Sorry, I was a little distracted.
I'd say that was a no.
I decided to...
If it's not them, what's the Samael? Oi, Mankin.
My usual, please.
Luton, you're...
What? Is my tie not done up straight? Is there an unfortunate mark on my nose?
I heard you were dead.
Take care, mercenary.
Get me a stiff drink. How about a whiskey?
Don't you want something with it?
All right, put another whiskey in there.
Drinking like that'll kill you.
I'm dead already. You didn't come back here to drink, did you? You wouldn't happen to have heard any...
No one outside of the palace knows anything. Except the commander of the watch. I heard that the patrician has asked Commander Vimes to come and speak to him about it sometime soon.
Huh.
Hadn't he already gone to see him?
Hey, what do I know? I'm just a bartender with big ears.
Perhaps he just wants an update on the case.
Whatever.
Apparently one of the wizards up at Unseen University got themselves killed.
That's right. The reader of esoteric accounting or something.
Esoteric occultism, yeah. How did you know that?
I was speaking to Mrs. Foams earlier.
Mrs. Foams?
She's the head chambermaid up at the new hall.
One of the halls of residence?
Yeah, the big one that runs off from the huge library.
Huh.
What did she have to say?
Just that this wizard had died in mysterious circumstances. Although she sounded like mysterious circumstances are pretty normal up there. It'd be a nice change if someone died in unmysterious circumstances for a change.
Can't be easy working at the university.
You couldn't pay me enough to make me work there.
Oh no? No amount of money would make you work there?
Well, obviously not a huge amount. For enough money, I'd do anything.
anything.
Well, not involving fish, broccoli, or vinegar.
I hear a prominent merchant has been killed. Heard anything about it?
All I heard was that someone in the Merchants Guild got killed. That's all I know.
Thanks for the info, Mankin.
Saturnalia was locked up tight.
Huh. That's a shame. I would have liked to talk to Warb about the university. Who could know about this moss? I pretty much talked to everybody. Well, except... No. Could it be?
Who would Sir like to see this time?
Can I see the...
I am not...
Still here, I see.
In a sense.
I don't suppose you know anything about mosses.
Moss? Did you say moss?
Yes.
Plants. Yes. Lots of plants here. Can't remember much about them these days. The memory fails. There
Excuse
are
me.
books, though. I forget where. Ah, yes. The library's apocrypha. All the books are there, you know?
May I use the library?
Eh? What was that, my boy? The library. Ah, yes. The library's apocrypha. All the books are there, you know? You can use it if it will help your inquiries. How go your inquiries? Have you heard from Reagan?
No. Not yet.
This room contains the von Uberwald's Libraris Apocrypha. So will, I trust, be careful not to damage any of the priceless tomes housed within.
I'll be careful.
One would be very upset if one was to return to find, sir, perhaps folding paper animals from a priceless folio edition of the Dictionary of Eye-Watering Words.
What are they?
They are books, sir.
I realize that. What are they about?
The Libraris Apocrypha is a collection of obscurities and rare volumes from across the continent.
Cool.
If knowledge were an animal, the Libraris would be a great dragon. Sir, by the same scale, would be a kebab on an ant's barbecue.
I'll be careful.
So what you're trying to say, don't burn the library down. I'll do my worst.
Although I appeared to be alone, I found it hard to believe I wasn't being watched. I wouldn't trust me with all those valuable books, and the butler certainly didn't. The library was the von Uberwald's collection of obscurities. Perhaps I could turn it to my advantage.
Luton, what are you doing? Luton! Luton?
The books were all neatly indexed by a vast series
That
of
animation
cards
was
in a wooden
not
case.
suspicious.
It looked like the von Uberwalds were using an ancient version of Huey's octal system of indexing. It was complicated.
Huey's
but I
octal.
reckoned I could at least use it to find out what books they had on a particular subject. and then wander around until I saw a bookshelf with the right number on it.
So it's the Huey's octal system around here, Don't you know the Huey's octal system?
I could mess up the filing system, I suppose, if I wanted the butler to eviscerate me with sarcasm the next time I saw him. A far better plan would be to use the index to look up a book on a particular subject. I found a copy of Orange Crates on the Nature of Plants. The
Orange
book was
Crates.
a tediously detailed study of the plant kingdom, and one of the most boring things I've ever read. But I found the moss in there. Apparently it was a lycanthrope, a type of animate moss with crude locomotion, found only in the worst sewers in the most decrepit urban areas.
Lycanthrope.
Apparently the lycanthrope looked like harmless moss
Very
until
funny.
something to eat walked by. Then they transformed into a deadly lichen and devoured their prey, at least as long as it was small enough. Otherwise, they just clung on for dear life.
I wonder why we found that moss next to his chalk outline.
The lycanthrope only grew in sewers. I had to find out how to get into the sewers of Ankh-Morpork.
Do
Not
we really
many people
want-
could claim that.
Do we really want to go into sewers? I guess we have to.
I checked through the library and found some ancient plans of the city of Ankh. There was an intricate sewer system beneath the city. It must be thousands of years old. It would be in quite a state if it was still around, and as far as I could tell, it would be under the waterline if there wasn't a drought on. Given the rains that we'd had recently, I could only find one section of sewer that might be above water. There was a shallow sewer running from the Maudlin Bridge around the rimward side of the Royal Winter Palace of the Kings of Ankh, now the home of the patrician. I guess the designers weren't allowed to put sewers under the palace grounds, which might have been why the Royal Summer Palace of the Kings of Ankh was a long way from Ankh-Morpork. That and the stench of the river Ankh, anyway.
Can we find any info about the coin? I mean, while we're here, might as well start checking up on stuff.
Whatever the coin was, I couldn't find anything about it here.
Golden sword. Anything about it here?
Finding a book on swords wasn't as difficult as I thought. I even found a tome on gold blades. 1001 Golden Swords, the complete story of gold swords throughout history.
Cool.
Unfortunately, it wasn't very helpful.
Oh.
None of the books on jewels or antiquities I could find said anything about a gold-plated jewel. I couldn't write off the possibility that there was something in the library that I hadn't managed to find, though. If I knew what it was called, it'd be easier.
I mean, nobody's ever told us what the jewel is called. Only description. Oh, well. Is there anything else that we could look up? Probably not. Let's go to the sewers. There is going to be something fun in the sewers.
The ancient civic plans from the library led me straight to the sewer's entrance, not far from the Mortland Bridge. A relatively small tunnel was concealed beneath a pile of debris that must have accumulated over the centuries. It looked as if most of the tunnels here were actually still above the water line, or the sludge line, to be more honest about it.
A lot of that moss around here.
I wasn't even sure it really was water.
Well, it's partially water. Mostly sewage, but... They don't play poker in Discworld, Lisa. They have their own card games. If only we had a map of some kind. Aha!
The trail that I had seen in the cemetery seemed to continue down in the sewers, starting at one of the pipes and disappearing into the passageways. It was almost drowned out by the smell of the ankh, though. I'd found a matching scent. The trail that I had seen in the cemetery seemed to continue down in the sewers, starting at one of the pipes and disappearing into the passageways. It was almost drowned out by the smell of the ankh, though.
Yeah, we know. A lair.
The lair was concealed in one of the sewer's many niches. There was all manner of debris piled up inside the niche. It looked like some kind of nest. I was strongly reminded of what I'd found in the Milka's cargo hold, only this nest seemed bigger somehow.
It's huge.
The magenta scent permeated the niche, stronger even than the smell of the ankh. There weren't many times in life you got to say that. The magenta... It was definitely the scent from the cemetery. I still didn't know what the coruscating static meant, though.
Well, we already know.
The magenta... There was all manner... It looked... I was... Amongst the garbage was some kind of pendant. The metal of the pendant glinted amongst the debris.
Huh.
As I stood in the alcove examining the pendant, I felt as if I wasn't alone. It was the same presence I'd felt in the Milka's hold. I could feel the cold touch of death.
Is he here?
It was a strangely light touch.
Aha!
Size obviously isn't important, I agree.
The death of rats!
You are Death, right? Rats have their own death?
Uh-huh.
No offense, I mean, you're very, very intimidating. For a skeletal rat, at least. So, do you come here often? I'm sorry, it's not easy to think of things to say to something like you. Well, it's not often I find myself in the sewers talking to a... What are you exactly? Exactly.
Exactly.
So what's your connection to the big guy? You're sort of like relatives then. You probably get together for birthdays and Hogwatch night. I'd like to see that. If you don't mind me asking, were you on the Milka before? I thought so. What were you doing on the Milka? Uh-huh.
Fascinating.
No, please. Go on. Did you see anything? Well, I don't know. Anything unusual?
Well.
Anything else?
Ah.
Yeah, I saw that. And that's here. This is its lair. It can't be very big. That's not very comforting. But I guess that's not your job. But comfort, I mean. I wasn't suggesting you weren't good at your job. I've never looked at it that way before. I couldn't believe it. I was talking to a phantasmal rodent. I hoped he couldn't read my thoughts. He seems easily offended. So, what's it like being the death of rats?
Telling us the life story. Fascinating.
You don't get to talk much, do you?
No, he gets to squeak a lot at other rats, not to humans or werewolves.
Do you think there's a connection between the creature who made these nests and the beast that killed Malachite and the beast that killed me? Can't you give me a little help? No, I understand. Professional ethics and all. Do you know anything about the murder of one of the patrician's clerks? Well, can you at least give me a hint? I see. Do you know anything about the murder of the reader of esoteric occultism?
I guess that was a no.
Have you heard about the recent murder of a rich merchant?
I see.
Do you know anything about the counter... Well, no, it's not the rats that are being murdered. That's fair enough, I suppose. I'll be sure to come to you the first time I am investigating a serial rat killer.
Hey, Bismuth.
Wee Mad Arthur? He's not a serial killer, he's an exterminator. Well, fair point, I suppose. I found this in the nest. Do you know anything about it? It was on the Milka, so this thing brought it here for some reason. I could really use some help, you know. Oh, forget I asked.
So, whatever beast this is that made this nest came on the Milka, just like everybody else. I'm guessing they came in because they came in one of the barrels. They were a stowaway.
Well, it was nice meeting you. I have to get going. It's not like that. I have a lot of work to do. You too, huh?
Well, you're kind of late to the game, Bismuth, because this is already Act 3. You were streaming this a while back yourself. Seems like you're making your way through a lot easier than I did. I've used the walkthrough a little bit because in the stream 2, I got stuck for an hour. So I decided not to be stubborn and stupid anymore. Now I have a walkthrough ready if I need help. This game is not that, difficult compared to the first two. It's a lot easier game to, deduce stuff. And Gabriel. Gabriel. The first game is notorious for its moon logic puzzles. Give a shout out to Master Bismuth. Where was I going? Cruelty Squad. Why does Cruelty Squad sound familiar? It's one of those new games, right? Still in early access or something? It's out of early access. Okay, so it has to be released. Alright, alright. But it is a new game. It's a hideous-looking FPS game that has a fair bit of immersive sim-like depth to it. Interesting. Where was I going? What was I doing? Huh. Maybe this pendant is what our friend Two Conkers is actually looking for. Because it does look like a jewel with a golden plate on it.
Do either of you recognize this?
Is of much familiarness.
From where?
Near sort being somewhere near. Ha! Yesness. Seal on temple in Alkali.
It's the seal on the doors of a temple?
May I see?
Sure, why not?
Ah, yes, I recognize that. That's from the temple with the intricate door locking mechanism, isn't it? Quite a marvel of technology for the era it was built, those doors. I was very impressed with them. Now, what was the name of the god it was dedicated to? I can't quite remember.
I know.
I am sure you do, but give me a moment and it'll come to me.
I think he meant it's from the Temple of Anu Anu.
Ah, yes. I remember. The Temple of Anu Anu at Al-Khali. A lovely building.
And this is a replica of the seal.
Of much sureness. Replica of most exactitude.
That might be helpful to know. Thanks.
I mean, it could be the real deal, too. Well, at least I know somebody who knows about Anu Anu. So let's go talk to him about it. I'm enjoying it, though I can't play it for more than a few hours before my brain starts to feel like guacamole with too little lime juice. That's an interesting analogy. Oh, Mooncalf!
I have some more questions. Ask them.
Yes, I must.
I understand there's a temple of Anu Anu at Al-Khali.
Indeed, one of the finest temples on the Disc.
Then why are you here? Why not worship in your own temple in Al-Khali?
Revengealism.
What's that?
It's where you go out into the community to attempt to convert people to your faith by threatening that something terrible will happen to them if they don't.
Mooncalf wasn't telling me something, but I didn't know what. Logical, I suppose, but unsatisfying.
He was telling you that join the cult. Or else.
Does this pendant mean anything to you?
It is interesting, isn't it? I don't suppose you could be persuaded to donate it to the cult of Anu Anu.
I doubt it.
A shame. That would probably be worth 20% of your recommended daily intake of salvation.
I'll just hold on to it, thank you.
I had a feeling. Well, I'll be.
Did I tell you that we're giving away free tea towels to anyone who joins this week?
Yeah, and I'm still not interested. Revengealism.
I need... Do you recognize this pendant?
It is an ambiguous Puzuma talisman.
What does it do?
It keeps away ambiguous Puzumas.
Does it work?
I don't see any Puzumas around here, do you?
Huh, I walked right into that, didn't I?
Yes, you did. What the heck is a Puzuma? Hey, more cats.
The Temple of Anu Anu at Al-Kali.
So, interested in comparative religion, are we, Luton? Or perhaps you're an archaeologist?
Given their propensity to smash open sacred monuments, loot them of everything of value, and generally desecrate sacred places everywhere, archaeologists are about as popular with priests as atheists. Mind you, in a world where gods are bad-tempered and damn good shots with a lightning bolt, nobody likes an atheist either.
Makes sense. Whom else could we talk to about Anwano? Nobby, give us your wisdom of nothingness, please.
Just thought we could have a... Oh, make it... Have you heard of... Give me a break, Luton, I don't know.
I knew he wouldn't know. Although I was hoping that he would know. The ambiguous Puzuma, this leopard-sized big cat, is the fastest animal on the disc. It achieves nearest light speed, given the low speed of light. This means that it cannot be proven to exist at any given time. Quantum anxiety, therefore, is a leading cause of mortality, along with ankle injuries from chasing females who aren't there. I see. Aha. Aha. Okay. Who would I talk to right now?
Who would say...
I'd like to use the library again.
Very well. I will show, sir, the way, since it seems the labyrinthine corridors of this vast edifice are beyond sir's meager navigational skills.
Well, it's only because that you know the straight way to get to the library. Ass hat.
There was a book in the library called Frescoes and... I was going to have to find another copy of the book. There were only 2 other libraries in Ankh-Morpork that I knew about, and one of those was in the Assassin's Guild.
Are you gonna tell me I have to go to the Assassin's Guild now? If this was any other world setting, I would think that's
books on jewelry,
amusing.
But I couldn't find the pendant in any of them.
An amusing but truly comment.
The design of the pendant might match something else, though.
But then this is Discworld. It is indeed Discworld. Strange things happen here all the time.
Who would say...
Can I... Still here,
In a sense.
Have you heard of the Temple of Anu Anu at Al-Kali?
I cannot help you with that.
Do you recognize this pendant?
I'd better not discuss that with you.
Why not?
Hey, why not what? Hey? Speak up, man. Speak up.
Sorry, Count. Do you recognize this pendant?
It's familiar. I've seen it before.
Where?
Did I play with it as a child?
Of course.
Perhaps. Why is it that I can remember my childhood hundreds of years ago, but I cannot remember what we were talking about?
Because you're
The
dying.
pendant. You recognized it.
Yes. Yes. I know that pendant from somewhere. Perhaps if you give me some time to think about it.
Don't take too long.
Did you say something?
No, I didn't say anything. Well, goodbye. I'm sure we'll meet again.
Oh, you can be certain of it.
Always so nice. Where could we go to now? Who else could we talk to about Anuano? I guess I could just go around talking to people about Anuano.
Mind if I ask some more questions?
As long as they're not about the incident, be my guest.
Yeah, trust me, it's not.
Have you heard of the Temple of Anu Anu at Al-Kali?
I don't know anything about that.
Ah, right.
Does this mean anything to you?
I don't know anything about that.
Well, goodbye for now.
Already talked to them, Bennigan. Let's try Mankin. Maybe he'll know something.
Is this a good time for a friendly chat? Given that there's never a good time for a friendly chat, I guess it's as good as any.
Well, it's better than nothing.
Does this mean anything to you?
No.
Have you heard of the Temple of Anu Anu at Al-Kali?
If you asked fewer questions, maybe you'd get more answers.
I couldn't imagine who would pay attention to the notices in a seedy dive like the...
What were the funny messages here?
Wanted, bed maker and laundryman for unseen university. $2 for each day survived. Contact Mrs. Foames at the new hall.
$2 for survival. Great prize. Did I want to go here? No. Why are we here then? I don't know. The Unseen University! Freaking finally. I was wondering if we were gonna find it.
University was positioned along a large stretch in the River Ankh, and its campus was convoluted enough that it was hard to tell where the university ended and the city began. It would be wrong to say that the people of the city respected the wizards of the university, and it would be wrong to say that they hated them. In fact, all you could really say was that both the citizens and the wizards were glad of the wall that stopped them from having to socialize on a daily basis. Mrs. Foames,
Yes, I am she. What do you want?
may I come in?
No, you may not.
I've come about the job.
Is that a fact?
Yeah.
Very well, you may enter, but wipe your feet. I won't have the help messing up the carpets.
What carpets? I don't see any carpets.
Now, you've come for the job, Mr.
Luton. And yes, I am interested in the job.
Well, as the head chambermaid, the decisions about hiring staff falls on my shoulders. Do you have any experience?
No, but I'm a fast learner.
Well, the pay is $2 a day. There are no perks. If you want it, it's yours.
No perks, you say? Sounds better every moment.
Can you tell me about Unseen University?
It's not the business of help to discuss their employers.
I'll take the job. When do I start?
You can start now by making the beds. The dorm is through that door. I advise you to leave before the students get back.
Why?
Boys will be boys, Mr. Luton. And apprentice wizards are the worst kind of boys imaginable.
Mm-hmm. And also, they might turn us into a newt.
Have you heard of the Temple of Anu Anu at Al-Khali?
I have better things to be doing.
Do you know anything about the murder of one of the patrician's clerks?
Murders are hardly a suitable topic for polite conversation.
Is it dangerous working here? Only I heard that one of the wizards was murdered.
Don't let that bother you, Mr. Luton. The affairs of the staff are not our concern.
What? You don't think I'm in any danger?
Goodness, no. The odd death is just the natural course of campus politics, I'm afraid. It's a shocking turn of affairs, but we mustn't question it.
It happens all the time, huh?
Pointy boots and all that.
It does make you wonder how many of these accidental deaths there are in the Unseen University. People just testing magic and such, and bad things happen.
Dead men's pointy boots?
Yes. No questions asked as to the manner of their emptying, if you know what I mean.
I see. Does this mean anything to you?
I have better things.
I guess I'd better get to work.
Very good.
The lair of the redoubtable Mrs. Foames, the head chambermaid.
Unstable.
The students had their very own unlockers to keep their possessions.
Unlocker?
This locker seemed to wobble slightly.
Unlocker?
The octarine board appeared blank to my eyes, but I had a feeling there was something written on it I couldn't see. A few sticks of chalk, a type of chalk made from octarine carbonate, were resting on the top of the board. Carlotta had told me that only wizards could see octarine, which explained why the board looked blank to me. She also said that as a wolf I could smell octarine, which opened up a new avenue of inquiry.
Yeah.
I tried to write on the octarine board with the chalk, but I couldn't see what I was writing. The chalk marks were invisible to my eyes.
Well, except for these eyes.
The dorm was full of the jangling scents of the students. But the most surprising thing was the octarine board. I smelled the words on the board. The chalk marks showed up as sparkling traces against the odorless board. It seemed to be a list of subjects the young apprentices were studying. Occult perils of lace-making, basic myth and monsters, principles of thaumic imponderability, and temples of the Great Nev.
Cool.
Under the list of subjects were the words, "You must read a chapter on each before the next lecture."
Oh.
I guess it was my job to make the beds. Watch how fast I go.
Sturdy unlocker.
This sturdy-looking unlocker seemed in better condition than the others.
Unlocker with disturbing aroma.
Even as a human, I could smell something very disturbing coming from this particular unlocker.
Must be old jock straps. Rugged unlocker.
This unlocker seemed rugged, if slightly beaten up.
Usually the death of a wizard comes at the hand of a lower-ranking wizard-hired assassin. Also, a Zelda. Unlocker.
This locker seemed to wobble slightly. Unlike the other unlockers, this one seemed to be levitating a few inches above the ground. Probably one of the students' cantrips that hadn't worn off yet. As for the unlocker's contents, the less said about them, the better. I searched the unlocker, but found nothing I wanted to think too hard about. Given the smell of the unlocker, I was grateful it was locked.
Does it smell of river onk or just general sewage?
The only interesting thing I could find in the unlocker was some books. I guess the rumors about the students weren't true. They did do some studying.
Anything
what
good?
Have we got? Occult primer, monster fun grimoire, Full-O-Myth, the theory of thaumic imponderability, lost temples of the great Nev.
I think we should take that book. No.
Lost. It hadn't, of course, even getting a meaningful sense. I'd found that how it got there was...
How are we gonna get that? It certainly sounds like it would be an important book to get. At least that is what my instinct is telling me.
There was a book on the temples of Great Nev, but not of Alkali. A shame, really. That could be really useful.
Mage's booties!
I guess it was my job to make the beds. Watch how fast I go. For a brief moment, I considered actually making the beds. Fortunately, good sense prevailed.
Anybody home? On this side of Nancy University? Greetings, sir.
The burly porter had inflexible written all over him in large iron.
Thank you for the host, Lisa.
What are you doing here?
The name's Luton.
Wondering
I'm working
about
for Mrs. Foames.
You're the new bed maker, eh? Well, you can't come any further than this, Luton. Wizards only in the library, thank you.
Wizards only?
Well, wizards, apprentices, and orangutans.
Are you a porter?
No, I'm a bledlow. And there's a difference, alright?
Alright. Except your name says that you're a porter.
What's a bledlow?
We look after the students.
Look after them?
Just like the watch looks after the city.
You throw your weight around and beat them senseless when they do something wrong?
It's about the size of it, yeah. You don't mess with the lobsters.
Lobsters?
Just a nickname we've picked up over the years.
Why?
If you see us get our hands on a student, you'll understand.
You make it sound like you're hunting them down.
Of course. All students are guilty of everything.
Whoa. So they're just doing the most dangerous game here all the time, I guess.
Where are all the students?
They're off playing Unseen University Challenge against the students from the Assassin's Guild.
What does that involve?
I don't know. Given the way most sports are conducted round here, it probably involves a very careful inspection of half the pubs in Ankh-Morpork.
What makes you say that?
Heard of the City and Guilds?
No.
When the guilds started setting up their own colleges, there was a lot of rivalry between the various students.
Rivalry?
Well, the university students used to be ambushed by gangs from the guilds, really.
Used to be?
Well, given the faculty's relaxed attitude to sudden death, most of the staff preferred dead students on account of them being easier to teach. But I gather the guilds decided that enough was enough because all the bodies around the place made it very hard to open doors.
Yeah, I can
So what did they
imagine.
do?
They founded the City and Guilds match. See, the idea was to carry a football right from the outskirts of the Shades to the Tower of Art.
Uh-huh.
Goals being scored by kicking the ball through the door of certain landmarks.
What sort of landmarks?
The sort with names like the Mended Drum and the Bunch of Grapes. The scoring team was bought drinks by the other teams, you see. And after a few years, the Arch-Chancellor ruled that only one goal could be scored in each pub since the match had, for 3 years running, gone on for a month. Yeah.
What's this got to do with Unseen University Challenge?
Well, the university tends to leave the City and Guilds match to the guilds. They prefer a more cerebral challenge.
Such as going straight to the pub, not passing go, and not bothering to come back.
That'd be my guess, yes.
So they're not coming back.
Well, they'll be back. They need to come to the library to get their course books.
Can we go into the library? Please? Pretty please? Sugar on top?
Have you heard of the Temple of Anu Anu at Al-Kali?
I'm just a Bledlow Luton. I don't know anything about that.
Well, I'd better leave you to it.
No.
The door led to the library of the Unseen University.
Where do you think you're going?
Just going for a walk.
Stay in the new hall, yeah? Students and wizards only beyond this point.
Well, we're not a wizard, so no way of going in there. And the only place where he said that there is another library is in the Assassin's Guild. Just trying to think here where I should go next. Because if I can't get in the library here, the only other option is the Assassin's Guild, but I have no idea where they are.
I was pretty sure I'd learned all I was going. I was pretty.
Okay, so let's think. So do. Did I get all the smells from here? White cyan, blob, dark cyan, and faint trace of apple. Yeah. Hey, Yoshiko!
The perfume was something called KC2, obviously intended for trolls.
There. We now have a Calvin Klein. Or Klein Calvin smell. But I wonder where I can use the perfume then. It's definitely something where I can pour it. So we can follow the scent of the perfume in the future. Well, the question is, who do we need to follow? Who should we follow? There aren't that many people that we can make go away in some ways. There was the butler, the main antagonist of any murder. What am I even talking about? I don't know. I'm tired. Am I making any sense to anybody now? I'm talking about all kinds of stupid stuff. My brain is broken right now because I'm super tired. I didn't get much sleep last night. Ugh. I'll tell you the truth. If you haven't noticed, I might have gone quiet every now and then, like for a minute or so. That's because I'm almost falling asleep. Even Pepsi Max is not keeping me awake anymore. I am that tired. The heat, of course, of the day is not helping. I mean, it's so hard to get sleep in these kind of days. Especially today, because it rained earlier a lot, so now it's hot and humid. And that makes me super tired. But also the problem is, it's hard to get some sleep because of the weather. Just tossing and turning in bed, trying to get some sleep, but then you're like, ugh, it's too hot. I only get like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. And then during the day, I start nodding off and I get like 10 minutes of nap time or something. It's not good when I start streaming and I start nodding off, you know? I wonder what it's like right now with the weather. I mean, when it rained, it was like, it cooled down, like it went down to 22 or 21 Celsius. And it's 21 right now, but I'm sure it went up like back up to 26 when the sun came out again. I mean, right now the sky is clear. But it's going, at least the sun is going down, but it doesn't help. Oh! Ow! Ah! Looking at the weathercast here. Saturday is gonna be the worst, apparently. I mean, tomorrow it might rain again. It's gonna go up to 25 Celsius, but Saturday is gonna go up to 30. Woohoo! Yeah, humidity is at 71%. And it's gonna go up because it's soon night time. So it's gonna go up. I bet you that later on the humidity is gonna go up to 100%. I know it's nothing compared to your small cats, but to us here in the northern hemisphere, cats, 25 Celsius is the heat wave limit. Like I said, Osikal, we had rain here too, so humidity was up to 100% at one point. Because of all that rain, but it went away and now it's sunshine. Humidity of percentage, of course, goes down, but it will go up during the night time. It's gonna be hell to try to sleep again. No wonder I'm sweating despite not being that hot yet. 20 Celsius, 81% humidity, yeah. It's the humidity is the killer. It just makes things so much worse. It doesn't even need to be that hot to feel like it's over 100 degrees. And I mean Celsius. It's like John Candy says in Cool Runnings, it's not the cold that kills you. No, it's the humidity. Can I talk to Mrs. Foams?
Mrs. Foams?
Well, what do you want? I haven't got time to waste talking to you, you know.
I'm not sure if I talked to you about everything. Don't remember if I actually asked you about the case I'm here for.
Is it dangerous working here?
No, I did not.
I heard that one of the wizards was murdered.
Don't let that bother you, Mr. Luton. The affairs of the staff are not our concern.
You don't think I'm in any danger?
Goodness, no. The odd death is just the natural course of campus politics, I'm afraid. It's a shocking turn of affairs, but we mustn't question it. Dead men's pointy boots, and all that.
No, actually, I did talk to her about this. That's where I got this.
Pointy boots?
Yes. No questions asked as to the manner of their emptying, if you know what I mean.
I see.
Yeah, I didn't ask her about that. But because my mind is going so into sleepiness, I forgot.
I guess I'd better get to work.
Indeed you should.
Well, in Lapland, which is way more north than where I live, the northern part of Finland also had record temperatures just a few days ago. It's kind of interesting that the southern Finland was cooler compared to the northern Finland. It's weird. Maybe it's time for all of us to go back to bed. No, I'm still gonna play. There's gotta be something I can do with the books. Right?
I guess the rumors about the students weren't true. They did do some studying. What have we got? Occult primer. Monster fun grimoire. Fullamyth. The theory of formic imponderability. Lost temples of the great Nev. I was pretty sure The Octarine board appeared blank to my... A few sticks of chalk. Carlotta had told me that only wizard... I tried to write on the chalk marks were invisible to my... I was pretty sure I'd learned all...
Alright. Although we really didn't learn that much. Other than we can see the Octarine.
I altered one of the subjects on the board, switching the Great Nev for Alkali. Now all I had to do was see if anyone took the bait.
Probably will be the one with the sturdy unlocker.
The only interesting...
And I can't close it. Okay. Well, we'll come back later if they ever change the books. Did I talk to the porter about the murder? I'm sure that during my conversation with the porter, I was actually falling asleep. I don't remember.
Still here?
Someone has to keep an eye on the concourse.
Did I talk to you about the murder? If I didn't, then I'll ask you about it then.
Have you heard the expression, dead men's pointy boots?
Of course.
What does it mean?
Well, towards the upper levels of magic, where the number of positions get few and far between, wizards advance primarily by the untimely death of their bosses.
Ah!
And the pointy boots?
Well, the point is, no questions are asked as to the emptying of those pointy boots.
Apparently Goblin and Lisa are in their own world of food today. I don't think they have been paying attention to me rambling on about this stuff or the game at all.
I hear the reader of esoteric occultism was murdered.
Yep. Old Mathan was so full of poison, even the worms wouldn't touch
Poison?
him.
He was poisoned?
That's right. Right here in the Widdershins wing of the university.
You don't sound concerned.
I just keep an eye on the students. The wizards can do what they like to each other.
Poisoned, eh?
Who do you think killed Mathan?
Well, that shouldn't be hard to work out, eh? Just see who fills his shoes.
You think it was an internal matter?
I don't see why not. No one else has got a reason to be killing wizards, have they, eh?
Well, I'd better leave you to it.
Well, at least now we know about the dead wizard. They were poisoned. Which is interesting because if they were poisoned, then this cannot be one of the counterweight killings. Because it could be a possibility of an inside affair of the younger students getting rid of somebody of the higher wizardry.
A copy of Frescoes and Fatal Traps
Aha!
of the Temples of Alkali miraculously appeared after I changed the octarine.
Yeah, miraculously.
I guess the students took their studies more seriously than I thought, but fortunately they still didn't have much idea what it was they were studying most of the time. I had a feeling I wasn't going to get away with stealing the book.
So if I can't steal the book, then what can I do with it? I mean, this is the reason why we are looking for the book, I think.
The pendant's design matched the one in the book for the seal of the Temple of Anu at Alkali.
Yep.
The temple was famed for its intricate door mechanism, and the book described how to manipulate the seal to open the temple doors. I used the same method on the pendant, and it opened with a faint click.
Cool.
Inside was a small piece of paper with names on it. One name leapt out at me. Therma.
Therma?
I decided to keep the list to myself.
Therma. The thought plickens. Why would Therma be on a list of names?
I'd found a list of 8 names in the pendant. The name that stood out was Therma's.
What is the list about? And why is Therma on it? I mean, we've never met Therma, but I've got a feeling that we have met Therma at some point. We just didn't know that it's Therma. Curiouser and curiouser. Well, let's think. Where could we go next for some info? Anything I can ask here?
Mind if I ask some more questions?
As long as they're...
Well, maybe not your incident.
Here up at the Unseen University, they talk about dead men's pointy boots.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Really?
Yes, they ask no questions about how a wizard's shoes were emptied.
Operate the same policy here, do you?
What? Hey, what are you implying?
Well, you know. Here you are, stuck on the door. Then a merchant gets killed, leaving a vacancy in the hierarchy.
I did not kill Gaming.
But there aren't any witnesses to that, are there?
There aren't any witnesses at all. He was alone in the guild house when... Oops.
Thanks for the information.
Wait. Don't tell anyone I said anything. They'll lynch me.
I'll keep quiet if you tell me everything you know.
No, I've already said too much.
Well, it was good while it lasted. Now all I had to find out was how Gaiman had been killed. And I had a feeling I wasn't going to learn that here.
At least now we know the name of who was murdered here.
According to Nobby, a prominent merchant... Well, goodbye for now.
Okay, Lista. You have a good night's sleep. Since we did learn about the merchant, maybe we have enough info. Maybe we have enough info to ask Death about it?
Still here, I see.
In a sense.
According to the gatekeeper at the Merchants Guild, nobody witnessed Gaiman's stabbing.
Gaiman wasn't stabbed.
Really? How did he die?
He was strangled.
Ah.
Thanks.
Blast. I didn't see that one coming.
We outsmarted Death.
Between the gatekeeper of the Merchants Guild and Death, I'd learned that the murdered merchant's name was Gaiman, and that he'd been strangled in the guild house. Thanks for filling in the missing pieces about Gaiman's murder.
I'd deem it a favor if you forgot that I told you.
Well, goodbye. I'm sure we'll meet again.
Oh, you can be certain of it.
I wonder if we could get some info from Carlotta. Oh yeah, she's not here. Darn it. I guess I need to make another meeting with her.
I didn't see a link to the list of names.
Okay, so they were not part of the list. Interesting. Outsmarting death is not hard in Discworld, you just have to ask him to play chess. He says himself, I can never remember how the little horses move. That's a good reference. Good reference to an old movie.
Who would...
I'd like to... Is she...
I will go and announce your presence, and she will tell me if she is.
This time I'll just wait. No need to be turned into a werewolf.
You're up late.
I can never sleep after I've been stabbed to death.
What did you want to talk about?
I want to talk about stuff. I got curious about things.
The person who killed Mundy hung him... Can you think...
What? No. Why?
Well, I did. I thought you might have an insight on it that I didn't. Reagan's dead.
I'm not surprised.
You don't seem to care.
Everybody dies, Luton. Mundy, Reagan, even you.
What's your point?
No point. That's just life.
Where were you when Reagan was killed?
When was he killed?
Shortly after dropping you off at the Temple of Small Gods.
Well, there's your answer then.
I told Carlotta when Malachite was murdered, and asked her where she was at the time.
I was at a service then. Why do you ask?
A service?
I happen to enjoy services.
I bet I would too. Why don't you invite me to one?
I wouldn't be allowed to bring an unbeliever.
How do you know I'm an unbeliever?
I doubt you believe in anything.
A man can change. Don't you have a recruitment policy?
I'd rather not talk about religion. It's such a controversial subject.
I can't help but notice that your recurring alibi for the murders is that you were at the Temple of Small Gods.
Everyone needs a little solace now and then.
All
you
the time.
seem to need it a lot.
I'm
Yeah.
not easily satisfied.
Apparently.
Which god is it that you worship?
I really don't like to discuss religion.
Come on. I only want to know the name.
All right. Her name is Errata,
Oh.
but I don't appreciate you prying into my spiritual affairs like this.
Can I pry into your physical affairs?
My affairs are never just physical.
I bet you say that to all the boys. Tell me about this goddess, Errata.
I already told you, I don't like to...
She's not like then.
He's
the god of Omnia.
Is that the place with the Quisition? All the overzealous holy wars and tortures?
It used to be. They had some kind of reformation, and now they're just
Nobody expects the
overzealous about
Inquisition.
singing rousing hymns and distributing fundamentalist pamphlets in the street.
Well, that's a kind of torture all of its own.
You're telling me. I got cornered by one of them last week. How do you think I know so much about it? It was 3 hours before I could get them to leave. Thumb screws would have been quicker, at least. I'll be in touch.
I'll be waiting.
And I'll be gone. Oh, we got some more info from her at least. Now, where do we go? Let's take murder. The only murder that we don't have any info about is the Clark. But these guys wouldn't tell me anything about it.
I'm back.
Right.
I hear one of the Clarks got murdered.
Ask questions like that.
On what?
Oh,
Yeah, they're not gonna tell me anything. Maybe there's somebody in... I mean, I'm sure a Leonard or a Leonard and 2 Conquerors won't know anything about it. So I think we need to find out...
Kali was still following.
Of course he is. I think we need to find a way to get in there. Like, into the palace itself. There's only the wall here, and we cannot go this way. And I'm sure they won't let me just in there. Yeah. I mean, there's not even an option. Hey, Cargo, do you know a way in? Other than the front door and the side door and the back door. Good talk. I mean, there's nothing here. I already got this scent. Wait a minute. I mean... Okay, shut up. You enjoy reading Hawkfather? Huh. I had an idea, but I will enjoy read on. You do that. I had an idea, but the cell dog derailed me. Hopefully this is not gonna turn into one of those, like, on the second stream. Then I'm gonna be stuck here forever. While I try to think of what my idea was. Barrels. Yeah, because of there is that one barrel with the magenta scent in it. Let's take a look at my notes. Oh, nothing. Nothing here. There's no murders. Yeah, the crates. Wine barrels. I mean, these are wine
The
barrels.
empty barrels at the foot of the palace wall looked like they used to have wine in them.
What if I snuggle in a wine barrel? Is that a possibility? Maybe that's a possibility that I could do.
Most of the wine barrels in the Café Ank's cellar, just like Samael had told me. As far as I could tell, they would be collecting it sometime soon. The palace was due to buy as far as...
Huh. What if? Yeah!
I had a long wait, but it paid off.
So are we in the palace now?
The storeroom was filled with boxes of food and supplies. I guess even the patrician had to eat every now and then.
Well, everybody needs to eat.
The wine barrels had allowed me to break into the palace. It didn't speak too highly of the palace's security, but I wasn't complaining.
I mean, they don't really go check out the wine barrels that often. Can I turn into a wolf?
My killer had definitely been here. The scent of red wine wasn't as strong as in the cellar, but it was still noticeable.
So that one barrel in the garbage heap is they were also here. Did the same trick. But why? Huh. Nice looking palace.
I guess they didn't have an open door policy.
Interesting music.
Locked.
Of course.
I guess they did. I thought I could make out voices, but I couldn't hear what they were saying. The door was locked. I thought...
Well, I know something that has better hearing than a human.
I guess they didn't. There were people talking behind the door.
Oh, it's a terrible state. I don't know how he puts up with it. Oh, I know, dear, I know. Just because the prisoners doesn't mean they shouldn't keep their rooms clean. It's shocking. Absolutely shocking. And those ones that are chained up, they're the worst. They think because they get special treatment, they don't have to tidy up. Nobody thinks of us cleaners, do they, dear? Perish the thought.
All in all, it wasn't the most useful conversation I could have overheard. I guess they didn't have. I thought I could make... The only noticeable scent in the hallway was someone's trail which led to the double doors.
Navy scent. That's Vimes. Has to be.
What was Commander Vimes doing in the palace?
Good question.
The double doors were more stately than the others leading from the hall. I reckon that it led to the oblong office, the patrician's personal sanctum. As a wolf, my hearing was dramatically improved. I could recognize one of the voices as Commander Vimes, and the other voice had the calculating tones of Lord Vetinari, the patrician of...
Let's find out what they're talking about.
Are you any closer to a solution for our mutual problem?
No, sir. I've been occupied.
Indeed.
Mutual
And
problem?
what could occupy you?
There was a string of copycat killings.
Copycat
I've been
killings?
trying to solve them.
And have you?
No. My lead suspect was killed.
That is very unfortunate.
Half dead.
Certainly was for Luton.
So there has been no progress in determining who killed Cypher.
Not as such.
Who's Cypher?
I've been given to understand that this was precisely the situation you were well equipped to handle.
I will solve this case, sir. You can count on me.
Do you recall what I said the city reminds me of?
You said it reminds you of a clock, sir.
Indeed. Big wheels and little wheels, all turning at different speeds to keep the machine working. That, after all, is the most important thing. The machine keeps going.
You've told me this before.
Do you know why it keeps working?
Because you want it to keep working?
I'm flattered that you think I have such importance. But no, it keeps running because the people believe it will keep running. Faith is a powerful force.
There is a point to this, sir?
I always have a point. Sometimes it's sharper than others.
I'm sorry. Continue.
One of my clerks has been found face down in a vat of wine.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it appear as if the administration has lost control.
And the administration is me, right?
We are all the administration. You do the work, and I take both the credit and the blame. Provided I do not take the blame, I am content. I trust I make myself clear.
Perfectly.
Suddenly, I could smell blood. It filled up my senses like a night in a forest. Except a night in a forest didn't make me want to tear someone's throat out. I didn't know whether the guard had cut himself or if I was just developing a healthy bloodlust, like any young werewolf. But I couldn't control myself. The next thing I knew, I was in my office. I had no idea how I got there, how I got my coat out of the palace, or where I'd got a traffic cone from. It had been that sort of night.
So did
I
you
was
kill
sitting
the
at my
guard?
desk, thinking over the case when there was a knock at the door.
I understand
Remora?
you've been a busy boy, Luton.
It's a busy life when you're a private investigator. Plus, you get to see interesting foreign places and learn a trade.
There was a commotion at the palace last night.
There was?
Perhaps you know about it?
What goes on at the palace has nothing to do with me.
Indeed, it is not. And if, for some reason, you did take an interest in the palace, I'm sure you would not be so foolish as to be caught breaking into the palace.
Of course not. Think I'm suicidal?
Strange you should say that. I heard you'd been killed.
I expect you hear a lot of things that aren't true. I bet someone has to explain them to you using very small words.
The thing is, the intruder at the palace appears to have been a werewolf.
A werewolf?
There's a lot of that around this time of year, I understand. Must be the moon.
I paid my respects to your grave.
Oh, that was nice of you.
It was empty.
Oh, you know how it is. I get claustrophobic in narrow spaces.
So, do werewolves, perhaps?
I wouldn't know about that.
Remember when I said how disappointed I was that I couldn't take you out for free?
Oh, that was a very touching sentiment.
Well, Lord Vetinari has generously offered to pay for the inhumation of last night's intruder.
Indeed.
He has a big heart.
It's a shame no one can find it.
Was there a point to your visit?
I was just passing through. Thought you might benefit from my advice.
How generous of you.
Well, I'll be on my way.
The door's behind you. I can explain how to use it if you want.
Watch your steps, Luton. I will be.
Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord splits you. So, tell us, Loden, did you eat the dude or just maim them? And if they survived your attack, is there another werewolf now?